Hey everyone, welcome to The Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson. I have the lovely Dr. Stella Aubert with me today. She's been a guest on the show before, and we wanted to kind of deep dive into just the holistic aspects of healing. And I'm going to let Dr. Aubert speak to us about kind of the trigger event, right, that got you on this path of holistic medicine. So I'm going to let you take it away and kind of share what was going on around 2011, 2012 in your life, like where you were at and what you were experiencing.
Yeah, so I went to undergrad in College of Charleston. I got a Bachelor of Science degree in physics, specifically with quantum physics. So I know all about energy, and this is also stuff I do with my patients. But I also had a minor in meteorology and then also pre-med because I was gonna go into medical school and become a medical doctor. But I started taking the MCAT and I was like, oh, no. And then I was working in hospitals at the time. I was working in oncology area. And then also I was working with a cardiologist. And I remember one time the cardiologist, I was working with him and he was doing a fourth heart surgery on this one guy. And he's like, yeah, this is his fourth time doing this. And I was like, well, why is he here all like for four times? And well, he won't give up his McDonald's, his Wendy's, and his Coke and all the things. And I was like, well, why don't you tell him about, nutrition? He's like, why? Because then I won't get paid for it. And right
Oh,
there,
wow. Wow.
right there, I was just like, you know what? I do not want to go down this route because I understand even nutrition is one part of your health. It's not the end all be all. But if you're not even helping somebody with nutrition, I don't want any part of this system. And then I really started diving into like, what was going on in the oncology area. And I was like, this is why these people are not healing because they're injecting poison in their bodies, killing not only the cancer cells, but all the cells around them. So if
Right.
you're killing all of these cells around your body,
Not only that, but I also think there's, I've had so many friends who have, yes, healed from the original cancer diagnosis and then died from secondary issues caused by the radiation and the chemo.
well, chemo
And
and radiation, they both cause cancer because it's disrupting
right,
the metabolism.
exactly.
And all cancer is your cells cannot utilize glucose in the presence of oxygen. So, and your body can't metabolize fat. So it's a mitochondrial issue at that cellular level. And this all comes back to energy. And when you disrupt and you put poisons into your body, you're putting your body in an energetic deficit, you're never going to heal. And it's not necessarily the cancer that causes it, it's the treatments that really kill the people. And that's what I found out working in there. And so I was in chiropractic care my entire life because when I was 9 months old, I had chronic ear infections and I almost died from a antibiotic. So my mom took me to a chiropractor, and within about 24 hours, just adjusting the ears and getting things to flow a little bit better, I was acting like a normal 9 month old versus, looking very lethargic and had this gray face, meaning my body was not, it was degrading,
It was
like,
imbalanced, right? It was imbalanced.
yep, yep. So
So you were exposed from a very early age to alternatives to traditional
mhm,
medical care, which worked for you. And there's nothing more powerful than your own testimony, right?
yeah, yeah. So my entire life, I was going to chiropractors. I was a runner. Played volleyball. I did track and field, cross country. I mean, I did all types of sports, but I really
What do
loved
you
running track and
what
field.
do you think the catalyst was, or why do you think you experienced the illness you did in 2011 and 12? What do you think brought it to a head?
Yeah, so in 2010, 2011, I was diagnosed, I'll put this in quotes because body is self-healing always. I was diagnosed with lupus, had the ANA, high ANA markers. I had like chronic fatigue, just out of the blue. My ankles would swell up for no reason. Well, there were reasons, but they would just swell up all of a sudden. I had kidney and heart issues, and sometimes I would get out of breath. And, it was a roller coaster. So I eventually went to a conventional medicine doctor just to get, the blood work to see what was going on. That's when I was diagnosed with lupus. And the conventional medicine doctor, he's like, you know what, I could put you on all these immunosuppressants, but that's not going to solve the issue. And he really started talking to me. And when I grew up, I had a very nice childhood, but not a lot of loving emotion, especially from the father figure in my life.
Mhm.
And I always was self-sabotaging. It was kind of like emotional abuse. And so I never felt like I was good enough. I always had to feel like I always had to, show myself and, prove myself, and always had to be perfect. I mean, I remember growing up, there was a phrase that, 'cause my dad was a dentist and an oral surgeon, and sometimes I would be in his office and all of his employees, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's perfect little, my middle name is Michelle. Oh, there's perfect little Michelle. And if I was not perfect, then I felt like I was not worth it.
So
And
much pressure.
and then
So
as I was
much
going through
pressure.
school, if I was not, number one in my class or number two in my class, I had to be number one. And I think I was number one in my class and I graduated, either number one or number two. But if I got anything less than 100, even when I got 100, my dad would say, is that the highest you could get? I was
Oh my
like,
gosh,
well, there was
Stella.
some extra credit on this
Oh
one.
my gosh.
And I had to be in the top classes, all the AP
Oh
classes.
my gosh.
And then, I had the AP boards and things like that before I went to college. Yeah, it was,
I don't think people realize, I don't think parents realize this transference of expectation, the psychological damage it does to the ones they love. And that relenting pressure will literally kill your soul over time because you cannot, it's not sustainable.
yeah, it will. It will. And
Yeah.
when you look at lupus, it's the connective tissue around all the organs. When you look at energetically, it's where the mind connects with your emotions. And if we also look at blood, which in 2012, I was diagnosed with stage 3 leukemia, blood is also a connective tissue. So that's where
Interesting.
mine showed up in all the organs. And then once, I things just were not progressing, because I went to the ways that I coped was I taught group fitness. So I really dove into working out because that's where I could really start to connect with myself and block everything out. But it was not actually getting down to the root causes that were driving these physical expressions of my health. And so from Charleston, I moved to Colorado Springs in 2012. And that's where just everything just started to blow up. I mean, I got chronic bone pain. I got I lost about like 15 pounds very, very quickly. I had chronic nosebleeds. And I was
Wow.
just
So much suffering for you.
very, very fatigued at weird times. And I was like, you know what, something's not right. I'm going to just go and get some blood work and just see. And then, yeah. So that's what happened. And I was like, you know what? This is not how I want to live my life. And at that moment, like I literally made a complete 180. And I was just like, no, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing this. This is not serving me. This is how I'm feeling. This is why I'm feeling this way. And I am going to do everything in my power. And when I walked out of those doctors' offices and I refused all the treatment options, all the chemo, all the radiation, because I was already toxic, and they were all the doctors in there. I think there was like 3 of them in there, I remember correctly. And they were saying, you know what, we need to get you started on chemo, radiation. You're young, you're healthy. I was 23 at the time. You're young, you're healthy, and you're going to bounce back from this. I told them, if I'm healthy, why is my body expressing it? Why am I going to put poison into my body and do radiation that I already know causes cancer?
They didn't
I,
have an answer for you, I'm sure.
I walked out and they were, I mean, their faces, they were like, well, good luck with that.
Right? Well, it's really incredible to me, and that you had this kind of, you had to have had some sort of inner knowing of what you needed
Yeah.
to refuse that and not go immediately into the fear, because that's what
Well,
everybody does, right?
yeah, I also had a degree in physics and specifically with quantum physics. And I know a lot of people have heard about the secret law of attraction and how you can shift energy. Well, I was like, if this is true, I'm gonna do it myself.
I mean, alchemy is a thing
Mhm.
because energy can change form,
Yeah, and that's what I knew. That was my
right?
4 years. That's what I learned about. And I was like,
Right,
energy and how the body and the universe interacts with our body. That's what I learned about. And then I also
right.
had pre-med where the energy was also intertwined with, the medicine,
The
physics.
physical,
Yeah.
right?
And I was like, I dove into my physics books. I dove into all of that stuff. And I just created the right environment for my body to heal itself. Number one, I stepped into full faith that my body could heal.
Right.
And I didn't let the lupus, the leukemia, and all the things scare me. Because I mean, I was already living in so much fear. I was like, if I don't change the energy and how I'm feeling, nothing's going to change. Because, for example, if you feel anxious, where do you feel it? In your stomach, right? And then you might get constipated, bloated. I mean, this is real stuff.
Right. But it's
So,
energetically driven. And
right.
I think what is really important for people to know is your frequency drives everything, and your core beliefs and your thoughts are powerful because the body responds to the core beliefs, your lack of worthiness, your insecurity, your trauma, emotional trauma, which most people are like, I'm fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody has emotional trauma. It's ancestral, it's cultural, it's environmental. Every person has something,
Yep.
right?
And I have not had one patient that I have not worked with on emotions. Every single one of my patients, it always comes down to, yes, we do nutrition. Yes, we do a lot of different things with that, but it always comes down to the nervous system, the
Mhm.
mind, and your emotions. And are you really connected with yourself? Or are you looking for things externally to heal you? Because if you're looking for things externally to heal you, you are giving away your power and your energy. You want to bring it on back home to you. Everything inside of you, you have everything inside of you to heal. And that's what I learned. I had to step into faith that my body could heal. And I had to learn how to calm that nervous system and to step into a different energetic state, one of love and acceptance of who God created me to be.
That must have been such a journey for you because you had already been at one extreme of the spectrum. So you were going to have to slide all the way back to self-love and acceptance and um, fill your tank, right? Fill your tank instead of um, let all of that energy just constantly bleed out through fear and anxiety and worry and self-sabotage and all the things that people do, right, to diminish themselves and put themselves into these boxes, right, that are so contrary to who we are on a soul level. What an amazing story. And tell me what that looked like for you. Were you just intuitively guided to practice different things? Were you just on a deep dive in research on drawing from your history and education? Like, tell me how that looked for you.
A lot of things. I remember just being by myself. that actually scared me the most was being by myself, because I was used to, going to all these group fitness classes. I mean, I would go like 3 or 4 a day just to be around other people. And I just didn't have the energy. I went to one class a day, and it was a Les Mills body pump. You can look it up, but it gave me a sense of community. And it also helped me still move my body, because that's very, very important. And now looking back, doing strength training actually was the best thing that I could have done, because it really focused in on muscles and the brain connection and everything like that. And it helped build bone density. It helped also just keep my body moving and things flowing. But I went to one class a day. And then after that, it was, I mean, I quit my job. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to live off my savings right now. And 3 or 4 months into this journey, I did get another job. I was working at Target, and they worked with me, which I was very, very thankful for. So yes, I was actually still working while I
Wow.
was healing, but I just really blocked everything out. I was by myself, and I just focused in on, what is my body saying? How am I feeling right now? Where am I feeling all of this tension in my body? Because tension is contraction. And when things are contracted, things aren't flowing. So, whenever I felt contraction, that's where I would, utilize my breath and breathe into that area, and then just allow things to open up, and just to learn how to relax the body and work with that nervous system.
Did you also find that as you were going through that process, you were noticing like things coming up for you, maybe
Yeah, I would cry a
emotions,
lot. I would cry.
just things that were kind of purging out, or releasing when you
Yeah.
were, that's why they say breath work for a lot of people is a really powerful release because it gets you to really connect in
Yeah.
and feel. Even if you don't know what you're feeling and releasing, it's a powerful thing, right? It sounds like you got very grounded and centered throughout that
So
process.
I had to, and like going back to the breath work, this is stuff that I work so much with my patients on, because we breathe in when we come into this world, and then we take a breath as we leave it. Breath work and really learning how to master different types of breathing, it's very, very huge. It's huge right there.
I've also done these studies with Wim Hof, who does this Wim Hof breath work. I don't know, he discovered it himself on his own journey, but they've done these scientific studies of how powerful it impacts all the biomarkers.
It is.
And it's scientifically proven that by manipulating your energy and your thoughts and your breathing, you can completely alter your response biologically to your environment, which I know we're speaking the same language, right? Because also I believe firmly that everybody can self heal, and that seems to be a revelation to most people. I think because of the nature of our work, we work with energy and we understand the interconnectedness of environment, thoughts, emotions, trauma, all of it, right? Diet, all of it in the healing. It's so interesting to me how the entire world has been conditioned and programmed to believe that you must use pharmaceuticals to heal. That is not how it's always been
No,
at all in
no,
our human history. So I'm right
no.
there with you.
Yeah, and the thing with pharmaceuticals, I'm not against pharmaceuticals for emergency purposes. That's what they're designed for. If you're in the ER and it's to literally save your life from maybe a car wreck or a stabbing or a shooting or something like that, in the moment, give the medication to save the life, and then we'll deal with it, help you heal from the damages later. But with these chronic health issues, you want to heal, meds are not the way, because what happens is your body is in an energetic deficit when you're dealing with autoimmune diseases, not putting in quotes because body is self-healing, cancer, other chronic health issues, hormonal issues and hormonal shifts, thyroid. And I can't tell you how many probably every single one of my patients is on thyroid medication. And it's like, that's not the root cause. But immunosuppressants, they suppress the immune system, chemo drugs, radiation, all of these things. Your body's in an energetic deficit. And all of these medications and drugs, it literally is putting your body in a more energetic deficit. It's depleting your body of the energy to heal. So you're going in the opposite direction of what you're actually wanting.
Right.
So you think that these medications are actually helping you heal, you better think again. They're not. They're working against the body. You will not heal. In order to heal, you have to work with your body, with that power, that innate intelligence, with the laws of nature, and most importantly, with energy. Really learning how to get energy generating at the cellular level and energy free flowing. That's key throughout your entire body. And the nervous system, the mind, emotions, all of that is a different type of energy. And that will impact your cells.
It's so difficult to get people to let go of the program
Yeah.
and the socially acceptable cure, and I know that a lot of it, 100% of it is fear-based.
Yep.
And a
Yeah. And
huge,
when you're living in fear like that, oh my gosh, I got a cancer diagnosis. Okay, what do I need to do? If you're that's how you're interacting with a cancer diagnosis, that's not how I operated. I was like, okay, I got a diagnosis. And this is what you need to do is you need to actually take a step back and calm the body and really process what is being said to you instead of, oh, you got a cancer diagnosis, doctors want you to start ASAP, in 2 days on chemo and radiation. It's big business. It's
it
big
sure
business.
is. It sure
Maybe,
is.
maybe.
And like I said earlier, people do maybe heal from that original cancer from this infusion, right? These infusions. But there's secondary and tertiary issues
But
that arise.
do they actually heal? Do
Mm,
they actually
maybe,
heal? Because if you follow a lot of, because I've gotten a ton of patients over the years where they have quote unquote had breast cancer, they've had colon cancer, I've had a couple with the type of leukemia I had, and then, other different types of cancers, and it's shown up in a different place because you didn't actually solve the root
right.
causes that drove your body to express itself that way.
That makes sense.
It might have killed the cancer cells right now,
Mhm.
but it's still going on. The energy within your body is still there and it's still going to come back out. You're still on that vibrational frequency. Unless you learn how to change your vibrational frequency energy within your body and how energy is flowing to a different, you're still going to be matching that same frequency.
Right. I totally agree. And how do you get people to understand that? Because there's not a lot of information out there unless you're really looking for it, you
Well, let's
know?
say you have tuning forks. I know people have seen this where you have different tuning forks with different frequencies, and then you have a tuning fork, say you have 400 frequencies, 5, 6, 700 frequency. You get one that's at a 600 frequency, you tap that one, which ones are going to resonate? The 600, right? Now, if you get another type of frequency, say like 497, but you have 4, 5, 6, and 700, let's just say you do a different one's going to vibrate with that. So it's when people actually start to feel their bodies, and this is what I work with patients on, how to really start to feel their bodies come back to a calmer state, and they can actually feel again, because most people are so disconnected from their body. And this is why, the symptoms eventually just scream at them because their body has been talking to them, but they're such in a constant stress state on that nervous system. A lot of times people are even in shutdown mode, so they really can't feel. They're so disconnected. And this is why I say we always have to work with the nervous system. But if people are really in that shutdown mode, not really feeling, and then all of a sudden, oh, I felt fine, but I got a cancer diagnosis. No, you're just disconnected.
There were symptoms or markers that were being
You're
kind of
disconnected
ignored.
from your body. You didn't learn how to understand and listen because you weren't connected. This is what I talk about. Healing is really about connection and bringing yourself back to a state of wholeness. But you're in that shutdown mode of the nervous system. So now we've got to navigate the nervous system, bring you out of shutdown mode, actually into fight or flight, and then bring you over into the calming. There's a whole workaround that we have to do with the nervous system to really get your body to start to heal itself. Yeah, it will take time, but I'm gonna tell you, as we do this, it's magic. It literally is magic when we start getting your body aligned, getting you to actually start to feel and be connected with yourself and feel what it feels like to be in that calm state and to, feel joy and see the beauty in life and things like that.
Do you find that people are surprised? Because some people go through their whole life never being connected to themselves. So that would be such a radical experience, right? To actually know what it feels like to be energetically in tune with who you are and your physiology. Is it a shock to them? Like when they kind of
Some
finally get to that place, do they call you and go, "Oh, this is what you're talking about?" Is it so foreign, you know?
Yes. And a lot of times when people are in a shutdown mode and then all of a sudden they start to feel that fight or flight, they're like, I start to feel, I'm feeling anxious right now. So, and I was like, yeah, it's because now you're moving into a different state of your nervous system. So if you're starting to feel anxious, go for a walk, go use a punching bag. This is where like I do different recommendations for where people are in their nervous system. People ask me all the time, how do I regulate my nervous system? Well, there's a whole process. I got to figure out where you actually are in your nervous system because there's
Mhm.
different levels. And then based off of where you are, then that will determine, how I help you flow into the healing side of your nervous system.
I bet the clients that come to you are completely shocked because I know that what you say resonates with them, but they haven't actually experienced it. So they believe it, which is a foundational piece, right? That the body can self-heal. But it must be incredible for you to watch their process and see them emerge, like their true natures and selves emerge from this absolute shutdown place, which is affecting everything in their lives. Anybody who's in that hyper, I don't know, just overdrive in terms of their adrenal system and their, everything that's just driving them, right? And they will not pay attention to any marker or signpost that's screaming at them to stop. When they go from that place of desperation, because by the time they come and see you, they're probably in pretty bad shape, I imagine.
Most of my patients are like, you're my last hope.
Oh gosh, no pressure. Right, you're at least you know that what you do works. So you can say with confidence, I got you, but you're going to have to participate in the healing, right?
I don't heal you. I teach you how to heal because doctor in Latin means to teach, not teach you what medications you need to be taking, not what supplements, none of that stuff heals. I teach you how to heal. Healing is bringing you back to a state of wholeness, and it's an inside out approach.
Huge. It's huge. I'm so excited that you're doing this work, and I hope more people will be exposed to the concept that it is completely possible for self-healing. There were times on this planet when people would heal themselves just with innate knowing by working with their energy, or maybe working with sound or crystals or whatever was available at the time, herbal treatments or anything organic, right? And somehow we've gotten far away from that, but I hope to see us return as a society back to more holistic practices, and it's so powerful that you have kind of this quantum physics energy background paired with your, you know, holistic studies and healing. How have you found that to be personally for you, how are you communicating that in a way that people can actually receive it? Because yes, they're coming in from a place of desperation, but also they need to believe it, right? To heal fully. How do you work with them to get them to that place? Do you show them like case studies of other patients that you've helped along the way, or how do you
I
get them to
do,
like believe
I
in the
do keep,
process?
yeah, I do keep my patients, all of their information unless they okay for me to like share it and things like that. I try to keep everything, for them. But
Hmm.
I mean, I'll give you one example, and I know this patient has okayed me to share this out. She was diagnosed as type 1 diabetic when she was 4 on insulin. She's going to be 26 in September. And when she first started working with me over a year ago, she was taking long-acting insulin, and she was taking anywhere between like 25 all the way up to 30, sometimes 32 units per day of long-acting. And on top of that, taking short-acting up to 12, 15 units per meal.
Wow.
Now she's barely taking any short-acting, if any, and she's only taking no more than 18 of the long-acting one time a day.
What a huge shift.
In about a little over a year. And we just dove into her. Yes, nutrition was a huge part of that, but she had a lot of emotional things and a lot of nervous system dysregulation. And once we really started to address that, that's when everything shifted. And she actually saw there was a couple of, I remember about 3 or 4 months ago, there were a couple of days where she didn't even take any insulin. And what's
Wow,
the
that's a
body,
first, right?
the body can actually convert alpha cells into beta cells. The body knows how to heal. The body knows what to do when you give it the right environment.
That's so powerful. I'm so glad I'm talking to you today because I feel like people really need to hear this, and know this and see that it's not just some sort of wild, random alternative. This actually has consistent results where people heal themselves with the proper guidance, right?
Yes, yes. And I have had multiple patients come to me with different tumors. I remember one patient had a tumor, I mean, literally bigger than the size of like a golf ball, almost like a baseball, just sitting right there in her stomach. And after about 6 to 8 months of really working with helping her detox at that cellular level, but detoxification, it's not just about physical, it's about
Hmm.
emotional and things like that. So helped her really, once we started diving into helping her detox from all of her emotional issues from the past and really working with the nervous system at the same time. And then I also am specialized in true cellular detoxification, where I will use different nutrients that actually support your cell's ability to detoxification, especially at that mitochondrial level. I mean, that the tumor, like she was seeing it just shrink. Her stomach was shrinking. She's like, Dr. Aubert, my stomach is shrinking. And that's why we were like,
It's
tumor.
working.
And then, she went back and got another image and it was completely gone. So the body knows what to do, but you have to learn how to work with it and not against it.
What would be, you've worked with so many patients over the years. What would be just kind of a foundational starting point for people who are, like we've said, so disconnected and I would say avoidant because what they're doing is turning a blind eye to what is happening in their body and doing everything opposite of what is required for health and wellness, right? They're workaholics. They party hard on the weekends. They're eating like crap. They're not exercising. I mean, there's just a whole, you know, wealth of people out there participating in everything to literally destroy themselves physically, emotionally, and mentally, then um, heal. And I know that there's probably a foundational thing that kind of kickstarts it, right? I just wanted to ask you what a first step would be for someone who knows they need to change and they don't know how because they're in this cycle, right? Everything is just cyclical and they just keep wash, rinse, repeating over and over these self-sabotaging patterns.
Yeah. Number one, I would get off social media. I would not, if you find yourself just scrolling through social media all the time, I'm gonna be honest, there's so much false info out there on nutrition. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've had patients and they're, following all this nutrition advice and it's completely wrong. Oh my God, it's completely wrong. No.
Right?
So yeah, in order to really start laying the foundation, ask yourself, how much are you on social media? Yes, social media is where I run my business. And I'm very
Mm-hmm.
grateful for you that are following me because that's how
Mm-hmm.
you're finding me. But be careful who you're listening to. Survey your people that you're surrounded with. Are they actually lifting you up or are they actually being a detriment to you? And remember, we are human beings, not human doings. So if you find yourself always comparing yourself to other people around you on social media and all the things, tell you that's going to tear you up faster than anything. And I will give you this as a business owner who does social media. I limit my time on social media because anytime that I feel not adequate or I don't feel worthy as a doctor, yes, I do get those feelings too, because we are human. I'm like, you know what? No social media. I'm only going to post and hopefully I can, I'm going to allow God to bring me the people that I need to work with on from social media. But that is, it's a detriment to your mind and your brain.
Right. So much of it I find is consistently staying in my lane
Yeah.
because nobody can do what we can do because we hold a very unique energetic signature. Every single person does. So every single person that you are viewing on social media is doing something their way, but that's not your way.
Right.
Every single person is here to bring something unique to the world, and their frequency is unique to them. And so for me personally, I've found just really staying in my lane. I don't compare myself to anyone or what anyone else is doing. There are people like who are incredibly, air quote, successful. And I'm like, good for them, but that's not, do I want to be a slave to my business? I don't. I'm all about life balance, right? Um, or people who are just so productive, like extremely productive. And I think, gosh, that's great that they're doing all that stuff, but there's kind of a manic mania to it,
Yeah. And
where
what
it's
are
just
they actually masking by go, 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 go all the time?
exactly what
Not
are they
actually,
not addressing internally by not giving themselves any presence and silence ever because they are so busy scaling this empire or
yeah. And
whatever
then
they're
ask
doing.
yourself, who are you following on social media? How do they make you feel? Do they
Right,
actually get you to think about how you can improve yourself?
right,
Or are they always complaining about their life and how things suck in their life? If you're following those kind of people, get rid of those people. I always try to provide information and education because I can't give out medical or health advice unless you actually are working with me and have signed a health consent form for me to do
right, right,
for
right,
legal purposes. But I
right.
always provide information and I try to get you to think, are pharmaceuticals the way? Are these things actually helping you? For example, the big trend is parasite cleanse now. Parasites cause autoimmune issues. No, they don't. No, it's not a root cause.
Right, right.
Okay. These
And
little
there's so
organisms,
many things that people just click and buy without really doing any research, or they
right?
don't have access to the knowledge that you have. And what I've really found is it's really important for us to create an environment that is lifting us. And energy is this is a fact. Energetic resonance is a thing. So you are what you eat, you are who you interact with, you are the music and media that you take in. You are resonating energetically with what you are. And so if you feel terrible, take inventory. There are energy vampire friends that are just bleeding you dry or using you or sucking you of everything, sucking the life out of you, where you always feel awful after. It's not like you have to read energy. You can feel it. You feel good and lifted and inspired, or you feel awful and have to go to bed after spending time with that person or answering that text or answering that phone call. Energetic resonance is a thing, and we have to be so mindful of what we invite into our lives and have the stress tolerance to
Yeah.
cut people out that are no longer serving, even if it's a relative. Being a blood relative doesn't give you license to destroy you. And you
Right.
keep giving them the straw because it's your mom or your sister, and you feel like, you've been conditioned like family is everything. Sometimes families are toxic and very harmful to your mental and emotional health. And it is okay to give yourself permission to step back and let them gossip and think and say and do whatever they need to do to validate their position. You got to save yourself, and you have to have enough self-love to choose yourself over all the garbage that's out there without
Yep.
apology.
Yep. And it, I mean, even comes back to the Bible. I believe in God. So, love God first and then love your neighbor as yourself. If you do not learn how to love yourself, how are you actually going to love someone else? And this is what I have to get even moms to understand, because I find most moms, they don't love themselves. So they're not loving their kids, and that creates a lot of chaos, and
Mm-hmm.
environment's not loving. So there's disconnection within the family, and that also creates issues. So, I'm working a lot with moms on teaching them how to truly love themselves. They can truly love their kids and create that energetic environment of love in their entire family. I tell you, when I start doing that and I help moms understand that and how to actually do that, this is one thing I do with moms, they heal so much faster.
Right. I mean, it makes a huge difference. And also, you and I both, we suffered from that perfectionist gene, right? And or experience, I will say. And when you are a perfectionist, you are always going above and beyond. And so, what you're doing, you're talking about the deficit, is you're always giving and never giving to yourself. So, your energetic bank is just depleting, 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 depleting to the point of mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion. And that's when you start to get sick and you start to break down. And I think part of this process, a big part, is honoring what you need, like asking yourself, what do I need? Do I need rest? Do I need hydration? Do I need to say no to those 18 travel sporting events? Maybe let my partner do it. I think so much of it is asking ourselves, what do I need today? And then listening for the answer and starting there. Maybe I need hydration. Maybe I need to phone a friend who loves me. Maybe I need to go away for a night or two and just be away from the noise. But I think getting curious about what we need and asking ourselves and then listening to what comes, because you know deep down
Yeah.
inside. If
And
you give yourself the space to listen, right?
yeah, I ask all my patients, do you think that medication is healing you? And every single one of them says no. And I ask them, do you think that you have the power, the innate intelligence to heal? I'll hear a little pause sometimes, but every single one of them says yes. And once I get them to really feel that inner knowing, now we can start to work. But I also have to get them to calm, and I have to get them to understand how the body works. You can't heal in a state of chronic stress and in a state of chronic fear that your body's attacking you, that you're broken and fragile, like you hear from all of the conventional and even naturopathic and functional medicine doctors. You cannot heal that way. You have to learn how the body works, why your body's responding this way. And this is what I do, I teach. Because once you get that knowledge and understanding, and I teach how to apply everything that we're going to do into your life, that's where you become wise. That's where you really start to take your power back with your health. That's where you really start to heal and really create health. It's not about treating the disease, the diagnosis. It's about what does it actually take to create health, long-term health, not just, oh, I have a headache or I have a migraine or, my joints are hurting from rheumatoid arthritis or whatever it is. What can I take for this? Wrong approach. Why is your body expressing itself the way that it is? In order to really get better answers, you have to ask better questions and really get to know the inner parts of yourself. And that comes from learning how your body functions at the deeper levels and learning how to now start calming the body so that way you can create a foundation so we can start building on.
It's really an inside out job, isn't it? You're building from the inside out. It's not the outside in.
Right.
That's a radical shift for a lot of people.
Right.
Right?
And
Oh
that's
my
why
gosh.
a lot of patients, they'll come to me. I remember I had one taken over like 70 different supplements
Oh my gosh.
in
What?
like 2 days, 2 days. And
Gosh.
not getting better, getting worse. I said, stop all the supplements because your nervous system, where it is currently, cannot handle one single supplement. And then we started laying the foundation work, and she healed without any supplements. Like she had like a lot of MS symptoms and a lot of brain fog, a lot of gut issues, chronic fatigue syndrome. I mean, she stopped all the medications because they just were making her feel bad and went on all the supplemental protocols from all the functional naturopathic doctors that she went to. And it was, yeah. Anyway, she's a lot better now.
I just want to say I honor the work you're doing, and I think it's incredible that you're able to give people healing and or empower them to heal with your guidance, support, knowledge, and hopefully they in turn will be a marker and show others around in their concentric circles that this really is a viable thing. It
Yeah.
really does work, you
And
know.
and health, it's all about abundance. So look at your life. Do you feel abundant? If you don't, that's also another issue too. I get people all the time, oh, I can't afford to work with you because I have all these medical bills. If you're living in a state of lack, you're never going to heal.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna put it
Exactly.
point blank. You need to let that debt go. You need to get your health back first. And then once you have your health back, what can you do? Can you
It's
go?
amazing how people put themselves last on the financial rung. It's like, but I got to do this, and this. And I'm like, if you don't address yourself and you're the last rung on the ladder, you
Yeah.
are never going to get out of debt because you will always be operating in this space of lack. And like I said, energetic resonance, if that's your core belief and frequency, that is what you are consistently attracting and creating. It is an
Lack of
energetic cycle.
money, lack of energy, lack of all of this stuff, lack of resources,
Hmm.
you name it.
And abundance is so much more than just money, right? It's like, are you living a full and abundant life in every category, socially, emotionally, physically? Are you doing things that light you up? Are you participating in life? Are you creating? Are you connecting? Abundance is so much more than just what people think it is, which is like they equate abundance with material things. It's not about material things, it's about quality of life. Are you living with joy? Do you give yourself permission? A lot of people have trauma, and so they hold the belief that, oh gosh, I got to check my emotions. I don't want to get too excited about this or experience joy because, that other shoe's going to drop. And it's
Well,
like,
they let themselves be a victim of that trauma instead of looking at it in a different light
mm,
and saying, okay, this happened to me, but let me shift it. How can I grow from this? What can I learn about myself to make me stronger? Because everything that I went through, and I'm not going to go into my deep dark stories, but
mhm,
everything I have went through my entire life, yeah, there was a lot of things that I would never share personally because I mean it was very, very, very traumatic.
yeah.
But that has made me who I am today. And I would not take it back for anything.
I feel the same. I feel the same way. There was just so much personal suffering internally for me. It's not like I walked around expressing and telling everybody like I'm going through this or that. I told no one. So I basically carried a lot of it internally. And that just destroyed me, over time. But I've found that I think we all can relate to it. I think so many people carry these secrets or these traumas. And I just want people to know, there are people like us here to help you navigate through that, whether it's through working with Dr. Aubert and, you know, getting that full package of medical knowledge and almost psychology and everything and getting you back into balance and harmony, or working with someone like me who does like soul energetic healings. We're working with your energy, we're aligning with your truth, removing distortions, removing any kind of false beliefs about yourself, alchemizing the story, right? And understanding that, yeah, I mean, I have worked with people who have had horrific, horrific things that I could never repeat ever to anyone. But they were able to heal. They were able to heal from it.
Everybody, everyone has the ability to heal. Now, whether you want to tap into that healing power or not, that's up to you. I can teach you how to, but it's up to you now to do the work that I'm going to teach you how to do.
I've also found earlier in my practice that a lot of people said they wanted to heal, but they did not. There was a comfort
Yep.
in being sick. They received something emotionally
Right. Right.
from
I have
being sick. And um,
they didn't get it from their childhood, so they're getting it from a spouse. Oh,
right.
honey, I can do this for you. Don't.
Exactly. It
And
gives them something that they craved, which is attention and or whatever it is, right? It makes them feel seen or something. And I had to learn how to just, I mean, as someone who's devoted my life to helping people heal, it was really hard for me to let go and be like, actually, I don't think this is right for you
yeah,
because no matter how much work would happen, they would just slide right back. It was just like a perfectly well-worn glove. They would just slide right back into it. And I had to really honor the choice that every single person made. Not everybody wants to heal, and that is okay. That is their choice. But for those who are interested in doing the work, because it is not easy, you have to change and shift a lot internally and unpack a lot and cry a lot and really move through a lot to get to a place of healing. It is work. It's a commitment to yourself.
yeah. And it's not about what magic supplement can I take or magic protocol.
It's a process. It's a
I,
process.
I rarely use supplements. I don't use supplements. I will utilize different nutrients at the cellular level when I feel like my patients need that, just some mitochondrial help for detoxification and things like that. But I can help heal you without a supplement. I mean, I healed myself naturally, not one medication, not one pharmaceutical, not one chemo radiation treatment, not one immunosuppressant, not one pharmaceutical, not one drug, not even one supplement. Your body can heal,
That must
period.
have been an amazing feeling to get your blood work drawn and see that you had done it.
Yeah. And to this day, I learned how to listen to my body. I will not go to a conventional medicine doctor. There was a Harvard study done, I believe it was in like 2018 or so, somewhere in there, where they looked at the amount of times that people went to their primary care doctor versus the amount of medications they were on. The more people went to their conventional medicine doctor, the more medications they were put on.
It's a
Because here's the
business,
thing, it is big business, but anytime that you go get blood drawn, depending on what's going on emotionally, will depend on what's going on inside of your blood. And yeah, you might have an imbalance every single time that you go. But does that mean that you need, well, you don't, nobody ever needs a medication unless you're in the ER. But does that mean, like, for example, thyroid hormones, like high TSH, maybe your T4 is a little bit lower or whatever. Does that mean that you need to throw in T4? No, not at all. Because there's a lot, it messes with the feedback system. Hormones is a chemical messenger, and it's based off of what's going on energetically at the cells, energy rhythms and cycles. It's based off of the HPA adrenal axis, HP ovarian axis, the nervous system. And it's also based off of, what's going on in the mind, because the mind is connected to your brain and all throughout your body. And so if you now start pumping somebody with T4 just to make labs look good, you actually are messing up the feedback mechanism. You're working against the body. So that can actually suppress TSH, and then you need more thyroid hormones and all the things. And that's not a good response.
right?
With some bioidentical hormones. I'm not against them because I understand, as women go through like menopause, their adrenals are just so taxed, because once you go through menopause, adrenals and fat cells and other areas of the body take over to produce estrogen and other female hormones. But if, some women are so depleted at the adrenal stage and they're just producing cortisol, then that's going to take away from producing things like estrogen. So there are time and places for, something like that to help support, because it can cause, depression or other mental things. And I would much rather you go on a bioidentical hormone for a short amount of time as we are dealing with the underlying root causes versus, just completely go suicidal or something like that. Right.
Mental health is important. I
Right,
mean, in
right.
certain cases, it's necessary and
Yeah,
okay, is what you're saying. Well,
yeah.
Dr. Aubert, this went by in like a heartbeat, our conversation. I can't believe that our time is up, but I want to thank you so much
You are
for
so
being a
welcome. Thank
guest.
you so much for having me. This was an honor.
It was so fun to connect again. I have had her on prior shows. You can look up our episodes. But do you have any parting words before we sign off?
No, not except your body can heal. I know personally, I see it all the time with my patients that have been to, I can't tell you, countless doctors, specialists, multiple medications. They come off the medications, their bodies heal, and they actually can start doing things in
And where
life.
can they find you?
My website, I'm on Instagram at, I know you'll put it probably in the show notes.
I
Yeah.
will.
My website, you can click contact me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, Facebook. Yeah,
It's
just reach.
it's draubert.com, and I will put that in the
Yep,
show notes.
ERABERT.com.
Perfect. Well, to my audience, you beauties, thank you for being with me on another episode of The Path of Me. I appreciate you all. And I hope you be kind to yourselves, love yourselves, and we will talk to you later. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.